Thank you, Madam Chair. I really appreciate the witness's answer. Another question that I have is really specifically around rural and remote communities. I didn't see a lot of information in the report that addressed that specifically, and as a member of Parliament that represents a larger riding in British Columbia and also a lot of small communities that are in some very remote locations, some locations that take more than just a ferry, boats to get there. I'm just wondering if you could talk about what challenges we're seeing in those communities, because I've heard anecdotally in my region, a lot of the people that usually work on elections were older, concerned about COVID, didn't feel safe to be doing the work that they either were paid or volunteered to do. And I expect that if I was hearing that in my riding, Madam Chair, they must have been hearing that in other parts of the country. So if I could just hear about the challenges that are facing rural and remote communities and sort of what actions you are taking, sorry, Madam Chair, the witness is taking to address those very challenges.
Thank you. It's a very important question. I hope I can do it justice. There has been a growing gap in the service offering between what Canadians in rural Canada and remote parts of the country receive and what we're seeing in urban Canada. If you go back 20 years to the 37th general election in 2000, 3.5% of the voters voted at advanced polls. Last election was 35%. They voted over 2 days then, now it's 4 days. That evolution is an evolution that's very urban. It's what we see in Toronto, it's what we see in suburbs across the country. But the service offering is not improved in remote parts of the country. And part of the challenge, or I would say the main challenge, has been a mix of legal and operational. The recruitment that you mentioned is a challenge in those remote parts of the country. And we did ask for amendments to the Act, which we did receive, that now allow me, by exception, to permit single days or 2 days of advance vote in parts of the country where the population and the workforce does not allow for 4 full days. So rather than being, all or nothing, 0 days or 4 days of advance polls, it can be 1 or 2 days. What we need to do is stop using those new provisions in a reactive way, as we've done in the last 2 elections, and start planning more aggressively for single or dual days of advance polls in those remote parts of the country. And that does impact directly First Nations communities. So when we look at services to First Nations communities, having planned days of advance vote, even if it's just 1 day, rather than waiting for a request and planning for 0 or 4, I think can make a big difference. And that is what we're currently working to roll out for the next election. I think that will be a significant improvement.